Happy Monday. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm going to wait for a few people to tune in. Happy Monday. We're halfway through August. Say hi in the comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If this is your first time tuning into one of my lives, definitely say hi and let me know where you're tuning in from. I personally am in Orlando area, Florida. And if you haven't liked or subscribed to our channel, definitely subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Like us on Instagram, like and follow us on Facebook. That's how you're notified whenever I go live. Hi, Paper Bar Company on Instagram. Hi, Danny on Instagram. And hi to everybody on Facebook and YouTube as well. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration attorney in Orlando area, Florida. I represent clients in all 50 states of the United States with their family immigration matters. So it doesn't matter what state you're in. If you have an immigration matter, I'll be happy to assist you. My phone number here is 407-995-6567. And my WhatsApp, you can send a WhatsApp as well. It's 404-333-8751. If you're on Instagram, these numbers are listed in my profile. So once you get off the live, you can see them on the profile. If you're in YouTube or Facebook, you can see it sort of scrolling through the bottom of the screen. So today I want to talk about spouses who have been married to either their U.S. citizen or green card holder, spouses who have refused to file for them. They've been married a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they've refused to file for them. Hi, Stanley O says, hi sis, watching you from North Carolina. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in from YouTube. So these are people who, they've been married with their spouses for a long time, or, their spouses caused them to overstay their visa because they were like, don't leave this country, stay with me. I will help you. I'll take care of things for you. And then they ended up basically just, not fulfilling that and leaving these people as basically like slaves to them, or just controlling them and never petitioning for them as a form of control. So I really want to talk about signs and things to note and what you should do. I talk a lot about, Violence Against Women's Act. So again, I know that there are always new people tuning in. Let me explain what that means, just because a lot of people still don't know what it means. Violence Against Women's Act means is an act that protects both men and women who are married to U.S. citizens or green card holders when their U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse is extremely cruel or abusive to them, So again, abuse is not only physical abuse. Abuse can be many things, which we're going to focus on today, which is just more of the psychological and emotional type of abuse that we're going to focus on today. This law also covers children. So if you're a child under 21 and your parent or your step parent that's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder is doing the same thing to you, is abusive towards you, refuses to petition for you, maltreats you, you could qualify as well. And then the third category of people that could qualify are parents of U.S. citizens. So if your child is 21 years or older and is a U.S. citizen and is extremely cruel to you, abusive to you as a parent, you can also petition for this. Today, I just want to focus more on the spouses, but all these three categories I just mentioned, you would qualify. And I do see your questions. I will definitely try to get to all your questions. So feel free to put your questions in the comment box on whatever platform you're on. I will get to them. So I want to focus really on psychological, verbal, and emotional abuse or extreme cruelty, and some signs that help you to know whether or not what is happening to you is right or wrong. So I just talked about you being married to somebody and they're like, oh, I won't file for you. Oh, okay, I'll file for you next year. Oh, I'll do this for you, or whatever. For a lot of people, this is a form of control. This is how they control their partner, because somewhere in their minds they believe that if they petition for their partner, and their partners become green card holders, then their partner will no longer be able to take or deal with whatever, stuff that they're dealing with that spouse. That's number one, that their spouse is going to gain financial freedom and will have the courage to leave them and not deal with what they're dealing with, like the horrific things that their spouse does to them. Okay. Another reason why sometimes they'll do this is just because they love control. They love control. There are some spouses that, they want to come home to a clean house, a cooked meal. You want to shop, show me your receipt, show me your invoice. Let me see what you purchased. You can purchase that, where you are even afraid of using your own money because you're so afraid that your spouse is going to basically get angry with you and say, why did you use this money? But your spouse can use your money, but you can't use your money, right? So some things that you want to look at are you married to somebody who calls your name, he criticizes you or she criticizes you constantly, makes fun of your weight, makes fun of your appearance, those are some signs of verbal abuse that affects you psychologically. So you see how the verbal and the psychological can be intertwined. Do you have somebody who humiliates you in public? When you're in public, they yell at you, they push you, they hit you, or whatever it is, and other people are watching or around their family or their friends. Do they send you negative messages, on text message, on WhatsApp, on Facebook? Or some spouses, they will go on social media and put their spouse on blast, just as a way to humiliate them, so those are some things that, you want to look at and see if those things are happening to you. There's a chance that you probably will qualify to self-petition for yourself. Other things is your spouse like very intimidating? They get into arguments and they're just posturing and maybe if it's a guy and the guy is much bigger than you and they put you in apprehension that they're going to physically hit you. They may not even need to hit you, but the way they put you in apprehension that they're going to do it. Some spouses smash phones, they throw things, they fling stuff, throw things, break TVs. Is your spouse doing that? So even though that's not physical to you, but that physical act is psychological abuse, because from somebody throwing these things, throwing that, who's next? What's next? Am I next? Again, if you guys are just tuning in, good morning. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Comment in the box. Let's know where you're tuning in from and put your questions. I will get to your questions. I just want to cover all these things and I'll try and get to as many questions as I can and stuff like that. So another option is, another example is if your spouse lies a lot, so they treat you badly, but when they're around your family or their own family or friends, they try to distort your lives and make you guys look like this perfect couple and everything is great, life is good. And then you get home and you're getting slaps left, right, and center, right? So, a lot of spouses do that. So that's another way. That is another form of psychological abuse, because on one hand, they pretend that they're this wonderful spouses when they're around other people. So people find it hard to believe that the spouse is abusive. But then on the other hand, they're awful when you guys, together. And then another one is when you confide in your spouse, about things that are deeply emotional to you. If when you were growing up, you were abused, and stuff like that. And then your spouse turns around and uses that against you and says, oh, that's why you were abused. Oh, that's why this happened to you. Those are very psychologically damaging to a lot of people, and the reason why I really want to focus on psychological today and just emotional stuff is because a lot of people culturally believe that if the person is not beating you up, it's not abuse, but we'll be dealing with major depression and anxiety and PTSD from the words that come out of their spouse's mouth. They say the power of life and death is in the tongue, right? Or the tongue is as sharp as a knife, right? So sometimes the verbal words are much more damaging than the physical stuff. And that's why I want to focus on it, because culturally, a lot of people will accept everything else and not believe that something bad is happening just because that spouse didn't hit them, right? Or your spouse threatens you all the time. They threaten you that they're going to send you into deportation, or they're going to call ICE. Some even go as far as writing a letter, writing a letter to USCIS or Department DOJ, Department of Homeland Security, just trying to get you or pretend that they're on the phone with them. Just again, as a way to raise your anxiety level and to make you basically bend to their will and to their control. Paper Bar says, thank you for shining light and focusing on this. You're welcome. This is happening a lot. Right now with this pandemic, we are seeing really, really, really high rates of domestic violence, domestic abuse. People are facing this. Immigrants are facing this. Immigrants are so afraid, especially coming out of the last administration to go into the cops, because they're afraid if you go to the cops are not going to believe you, or they're going to send you to deportation. So a lot of people are suffering. They're suffering at home, suffering. You can't imagine the kinds of people that I speak to every day and some of the crazy things that are happening to them. But that's why I do this live, because I want you guys to understand that you have a choice. And part of why those people hold you from getting your green card is because your green card gives you freedom. It gives you freedom. Getting your work permit gives you financial freedom to get up and leave. Then many times people will come and they will say, I can't leave because I have a child. I don't have a job. What am I going to do? Who's going to feed my child? How am I going to take care of my child? The first step is to prepare this petition, because if you do, you get your work permit. Your work permit and your social security number allow you to work. That gives you freedom to walk away. Yes, you may start out the petition living with your spouse, and then, once you get your freedom, you can leave. You can leave or you don't even have to stay. I'm saying for those who feel they need to stay. And the good thing about this petition is that, USCIS cannot mail stuff to your house as long as you have a safe address. So your spouse would never know. So like, for instance, my clients, when we file a petition, our address is a safe address. What that means is they never mail things to their house. They mail them to our office. And before we mail them out, we always want to know, is it okay to give us an address to mail it to? Because I don't want to send something and it lands in the hand of your abuser, because, abuse is a real thing and people die. So other things are controlled. They control your involvement outside the house. They control who you speak to. They control where you go. They control how you dress. They tell you that you look like trash the way you're dressing, or, oh, why don't you dress like that? Or they make fun of like your traditional foods, what you eat, what you cook, your food smells. Basically, they make you feel bad about your heritage. Some people go as far as destroying your personal possession. They will destroy your mail. They will destroy your passport. They will destroy your marriage certificate. They will do all those things just to make sure that you're not able to file your petition. Some people will intentionally try to make you feel jealous, right? They will try to make you feel jealous. They will try to make you feel unvalued. They will show you that, listen, I'm dating other people. I don't care what you think. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to leave? Then leave. After all, if you leave, I'm not going to help you with your green card. So these are all things that, if they're happening and your spouse is not trying to petition for you, that you really want to think about scheduling a consultation or speaking with an attorney about whether or not you will qualify. Obviously, there are other requirements to a VAWA self-petition, but it is worth knowing whether or not you qualify. Okay, guys, I'm going to just take some questions now. I know I saw somebody asked me something on Instagram earlier. So someone says, good morning. I filed for VAWA last year and I'm yet to get any response except a receipt notice. So the answer for you, Elvis, is that it really depends on what you filed. Did you file VAWA with an adjustment of status, or did you file VAWA alone as a standalone? So the answer will depend on how I answer you. So one, let me know which one you filed. Number two, let me know when last year you filed. Most VAWA cases take 24 months on average. That's the average timeline. However, if you filed it with an adjustment of status, if you filed it with actually, let me pause. Let me go back for a second. Even if you filed just a VAWA petition alone, which is what we call an I-360 petition, and you filed it last year, we're in August. If your case met the minimum requirement, you should have received a prima facie determination letter. If you've not received a prima facie determination letter, I am a bit concerned. So you want to check, you want to see what's going on there. You can schedule a consult with me. My number is on the profile. It's 407-995-6567. So you should have at least received that, which means that your case has met the bare minimum. And it doesn't usually take that long to get if you filed it properly. And then if you filed it with your adjustment of status, by now you should have probably gotten your work permit and your travel permit and your social security. So yeah, that's a bit iffy. Okay, somebody says, hi. Okay, let me click on this person's name. Dre from Facebook says, hi, Chidole. Hi, Aisha. My name is actually Aisha. My last name is Chidole. I'm a big fan from Tennessee. Thank you. Thank you. I and my spouse have a child together, and I personally let her take her mom's last name, and my name is on her birth certificate. Will it be a problem in filing removal of condition? Well, be ready to answer the reason why. If your name is on the birth certificate, then great. You can take, make sure you take the birth certificate. But they're probably going to ask you, well, how come the child has your wife's last name? So just be ready to give them the answer why. Okay. Good morning, Lightom. Hi, Alaji. Giwa says, if I file for VAWA, how long will it take to get a work authorization? The answer is that it depends on what kind of petition you file. VAWA standalone, you're not going to get a work permit until you're approved, which could take about 2 years. If you file VAWA adjustment of status and you file the correct category, it could take anywhere from 6 to 8 months on average to get your work permit. So Andrea says, good morning, Aisha. If you file for your kids outside of the country, before their documentation is approved and they come here, can you change the address before the documentation is approved? Change whose address? Your address or your children's address? You can change your address. Do you mean your children's address? If you want to change your address, you can change it on there's a form called the AR11 online. You can usually do it online. And it's a pretty straightforward process. For the kids, it's really going to depend, you're probably not going to be able to once your NVC application is filled. So they're going to have to do that update when they go for their interview, if their address has changed. Because once you fill out the NVC and your application is complete, it's kind of like locked. So they can always, when they go to the embassy, bring it there. Okay. So somebody on Instagram says, good morning. My family and I applied for asylum 6 years now, and we were made to understand what we call for an interview. As of today, we haven't been invited. Is there something we're not doing right? So I actually don't handle asylum cases, and this is for the very reason why, because it takes forever and most people don't get good news. So it's normal. 6 years is normal. That sounds about right. You just kind of have to wait. Asylum just takes a really long time to adjudicate. Why? I don't really know the reason why, but I don't take asylum cases. So what filing in for my child and all requirements are once filing in for my child and all requirements are approved and the case is at the National Visa Center, but everything's being delayed for about 2 years, what can I do? Roland, it really depends on what your embassy is, what country you're from. Some countries are more delayed than others. There are certain countries that had travel bans last year, February, due to the administration banning certain Muslim countries and African countries. In addition to that, you had the pandemic ban where they banned, certain visas. And then in addition to that, you had the consulates closing. So, a lot of things are delayed, but one of the things that you can do is you can do an inquiry. You can try and do an inquiry to your local embassy. Usually there's a list of emails, depending on what country you're from, email them, and just check on the status of your case and see what's going on. But, there's definitely a lot of delay. 2 years is really long though, but delays are just happening. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay, guys, if I don't have any other questions, I'm going to jump off. Okay, so Chan says, I changed my case to a VAWA in July 2019. I got to prima facie, which expires. I've now gotten a new prima facie. I applied for an EAD renewal in 2020, and I haven't received a receipt. What might be going on? Okay, so let's start with your prima facies. Prima facies are going to come to you automatically. So It should be coming to you. If it hasn't come to you, then just write a letter. You're going to have to write a letter and ask them for one. But usually it comes to you. Sometimes the prima facie might come like a month after it expires. But if you can't wait, you can always write them a letter, and hopefully that will trigger them to send one to you. With VAWA cases, you can't really call on the phone. You have to write a letter. As far as your employment renewal, that's a problem that you haven't received a receipt notice. That's concerning. You want to make sure that you can find your tracking. And one thing I always advise clients of mine, never send anything to USCIS where you don't have a tracking, because you need proof that you submitted something. So the fact that you've not gotten your receipt 8 months later, that's a problem. So you want to go check your tracking and make sure that you sent it to the right address and that they got it. So did you send it to Vermont? Did you send it to National Benefit Center, since you claim that you changed your case? So all those things are probably playing into part of the confusion with your case. Good morning, attorney. My sister attended her interview in February with her spouse, and the spouse is now very abusive. Please, with her pending petition, can she file for VAWA? Absolutely, she can still file for VAWA. When cases like that happen, one of the things that we request is we will request what we call an abeyance, where we basically ask them, since you've not made a decision on this case, can you please hold the case? We're going to be changing our petition from, a marriage-based petition and pulling out the I-485 and filing VAWA. So that is something she can do if she qualifies to petition for VAWA. Okay. So Mr. Tuss says, good morning. Please, what month is it okay to apply for work authorization renewal that is due to expire January 2022? Okay. So January 2022, let me go back in my math. Yeah, so next month, I would say you can start applying for it, if it expires. So September will be good to submit your stuff. If your VAWA is denied, is there a risk of removal? There's a risk of removal for every denial, every single denial. There's always a risk for removal. Now, are they making it one of the bigger priorities with this new administration? No, but you should always be prepared that you could be one of those that just fall into renewal category. Okay. Hi, Dre. I answered your question above, so you might want to rewind this video when I get off to see that I actually already responded to that. I'm Rosani says, best lawyer ever. You're so amazing. Thank you so much. Can you speak on USCI's home checks and why they do them? Okay, USCI home checks are not good. Let me repeat that. USCI's home checks are not good. If you're getting a USCI's home check, that is terrible, because it means that USCIS does not believe you. They believe there's something that's off in your application, and that is why they're coming to do a home check. So, you'd better have your stuff together, when you're applying for a marriage-based case, or an immigration petition. A lot of times people will think, okay, I filed something, I withdrew it, and it's not going to come haunt me. But everything that you've done before in the past can haunt you, even in a new case and a new bona fide that could lead them to a home check. A home check is basically when USCIS sends officers to your house when you unannounced, when you don't expect it, to investigate, to see, i.e., if your marriage is real. When they come to your house, they are going to be asking questions. They're going to be looking to see, if there are any traces of both you and your spouse cohabitating together. They're going to be listening to how you answer the questions. They're also, if your spouse is not in the house, they're going to be reaching out to your spouse and asking them. Sometimes they're going to want to see your phone record. They're going to say, let's see your phone. Let's see what's in your phone. When last did you talk to your spouse? Let me see what it's in there, right? Take us to your room. Let's see what's in there. Sometimes it could come at like 6 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, when they expect the husband and wife, or husband and husband, spouse and wife and wife, or whatever, to be there. So home checks are not good. That is the one thing that you need to be avoiding. Home checks don't happen often, but if it happens, it's because they don't believe you and they believe that they can catch you in the act. So make sure that your stuff is together. Make sure that when you go for your interview, home checks usually will happen after interviews most of the time. They don't happen before the interviews, but it's based on your interview and what happens at your interview, what they perceive at your interview, what they perceive in your application that lead them to come to your house to check. Okay. So Giwa says, what is positive for me to qualify for VAWA if my spouse is into prostitution and she's not ready to file for me? The marriage is over 2 years and 3 months, or is there any status that I can still file for? So Giwa, when you say the marriage is over, are you guys officially divorced? or you've been separated for 2 years. If you've been divorced for more than 2 years, you will not be eligible for VAWA, and you will not be eligible based on anything for the spouse, unfortunately. However, if you are just separated and you're not officially divorced, call me. Let's discuss and see what's going on to see what you actually qualify for, if you do qualify for VAWA. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. I will be jumping off. Okay, Gua says he's still married. Okay, if you're still married, definitely call me. 407-995-6567. You could potentially still qualify for VAWA, but I will still need to screen you because there's still other requirements for VAWA, good moral character, no crimes of moral turpitude, cohabitation, and all those other things. So we have to go over those things. Okay. And then I will answer this last question, and I'm really jumping off. Bavin says, after a VAWA application, how long to get a receipt? It varies. So most of the time, I say at least 6 weeks. A lot of times you might get it in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Right now, they've been fast about sending receipts. But give yourself 6 weeks before you start worrying about why you don't have a receipt. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you have a wonderful week, a productive week, a blessed week. I will see you guys back here tomorrow, sometime between 8:30 to 9:30. You can come on there and see me. Giwa, my number is right there on the screen and it's scrolling through there. When I log off live, just go on my profile page. You will see my phone number is 407-995-6567. All right, guys, have a great one. Bye.